Walter's Sports Bar has been recognized by many local publications as one of the best sports bars in Washington, D.C., located across the street from Nationals Park and open year-round.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is interesting. The
benches are going to empty here now as Ruiz and Profar getting into it. And we wondered if something might happen after Profar ran all over the field last night after his game-winning hit. And some thought maybe taunted the Nationals dugout last night. And Ruiz getting right in his face.
And Ruiz just spiked his catcher's mask as Trevor Williams is trying to hold him back. So they had a conversation, and Ruiz and Profar get very animated. And the bench is empty.
So Profar stands in batting right-handed. And Gore with his first pitch inside and hit him in the foot. Well, here we go. Are they going to throw Gore out of the game? Mike Schultz right out of the dugout.
He hit him in the foot.
I mean, that's not... And they've thrown him out of the game, or have they thrown Schultz out of the game?
Schultz is out of the game.
Mike Schultz, who was screaming for Gore to be thrown out, has been ejected by Adam Hammery, the third base umpire and crew chief. So Machado stands in, hitting at 260. Slow start for him, 13 doubles, 7 homers, 38 runs batted in. First pitch swung on in high in the air to left field. Winker going back, way back, going, and gone. Goodbye. And Profar is going wild around third base, firing up the crowd, dancing around third, throwing his arms in the air. And Ruiz watches him touch home plate and cross right in front of him. Machado just coming around third with a slow trot.
For me, it was a good way to send a message like, hey, great, you hit the ball, you won the game, but we're not going to tolerate that.
When you say not tolerate that, can you walk through this?
I'll just leave it at that.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Wednesday, June 26, 2024. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. Mark Zuckerman is off for this installment of the podcast. Mark's actually visiting the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. And I tell you, if this 3-game Nats-Padres series keeps being as eventful as it has been so far, the Hall of Fame may have to put up an exhibit commemorating this series. I am joined by the great Tim Shovers. We, late night on Monday night, had an eventful Game 1 of this series. A 7-6, 10-inning loss for the Nats at the Padres in a game in which the Nats overcame a 3-0 third-inning deficit, but also blew a 6-3 10th-inning lead. We, late night on Tuesday night, had an eventful Game 2 of this series. A 9-7 Nats loss at the Padres in a game in which the Nats blew a 4-2 fifth-inning lead and allowed 7 runs over the 5th and 6th innings. And this was a game in which we had quite the bottom of the first inning. The Nats for this regular season now are 38-41 and are 2.5 games behind the Padres for the National League's third and final wild card spot. This installment of the Nats Chat podcast brought to us by the DC Grays. DC Grays Baseball, an all-volunteer nonprofit that brings baseball and softball to kids in under-resourced neighborhoods of Washington, D.C. The Grays' 2024 season is underway. To donate and learn more about the Grays, go to dcgrays.com. Tim, a lot to take in from this game late night on Tuesday night, and that bottom of the first inning was something. We'll get to the specifics in moments, but we haven't had many contentious circumstances with the Nats over the years. They have not been in many brawls, many fights, really anything in terms of the Nats versus another team, and you're really feeling the passion of the two teams not getting along, not liking each other. We had that in this game in the first inning on Tuesday night.
Yeah, the bottom of the first was a lot of fun, really chippy, and you sort of look up and I see Manny Machado in the middle of the batter's box with Keibert, Ruiz, and Profar, and it's Profar's at bat, and I was kind of wait, what's going on here? And you see the slow developing situation. Clearly, the two teams had bad blood entering today. That was immediately evident in the first inning. And then I do have to say, though, it was a low moment for the Nats. I did enjoy the pimp job that Manny Machado did to the home run. We'll get to that as well. I mean, it was a very modern baseball bottom of the first.
I don't know if Nats-Padres can ever be a true rivalry, right? I mean, they're separated by the entire continental United States, and they play in two different divisions. But, you know, you had what happened on Tuesday night. You, of course, have the Juan Soto trade of August 2nd, 2022. There have been some other memorable games between these two teams in recent years, although it feels like so many of them have gone against the Nats. I don't know. There definitely is something there between the Nats and Padres. I don't know that you can call it a rivalry, but there is some bad blood, to be sure. So, MacKenzie Gore, he was the Nats starting pitcher for this game late night on Tuesday night. The same MacKenzie Gore who the Nats got from the Padres in the Juan Soto trade. Gore in the bottom of the first allowed 2 runs. He issued a 1-out first pitch hit by pitch of Jurickson Profar and gave up a 1-out first pitch, a 2-run homer by Manny Machado to left field for a 2-0 Padres lead. And Gore then issued a 1-out 5-pitch walk of Jake Cronenworth. But it was the 1-out first pitch hit by pitch of Jurickson Profar that was especially interesting because that hit by pitch came right after Profar and Nats catcher Keibert Ruiz had words to where benches and bullpens emptied. Profar in game 1 of this series had the walk-off 2-out 2-run ground rule double to right center field off Nats reliever Hunter Harvey. Profar, during that plate appearance, twice acted as if Harvey threw way inside at Profar, even though Harvey really did not do that. We talked about this some on the previous installment of the podcast. And then Profar, after his walk-off double, very much celebrated toward the Nats dugout. It's one thing to celebrate. It's another thing to celebrate toward the opposing team's dugout. So, you fast forward to late night on Tuesday night, game 2 of this series. We get words between Profar and Ruiz, and then MacKenzie Gore, on his very first pitch to Profar, issues a hit-by-pitch on what certainly could have been an intentional hit-by-pitch, although the hit-by-pitch was at Profar's feet. You'd think that if Gore really wanted to send a message to Profar, Gore would have thrown higher than at Profar's feet. But who knows? You know, maybe Gore thought to throw at Profar's feet because doing so gives Gore plausible deniability that he was not throwing at Profar on purpose. Anyway, the hit-by-pitch came after warnings had been issued, and yet Gore was not ejected from the game. The Padres manager, Mike Schilt, was ejected from the game. And then came the Manny Machado home run. And on the very next pitch, we over a 2-pitch sequence got the hit by pitch of Profar and the homer by Machado. A 1-out first pitch, 2-run homer that, as Tim said, Machado pimped big time. And this is maybe the best/worst part, the Padres dugout emptied to celebrate the homer. This was a first-inning home run, and yet the Padres celebrated this homer almost like it was a walk-off home run. So much to digest from that sequence in the bottom of the first. I have some thoughts for sure, but I want to give the floor to you. What did you think about what happened in that first inning?
Of all the stuff that you mentioned, and that was a great summation, I was surprised that MacKenzie Gore wasn't ejected because the game had already stopped once, and it was clear that tensions were high on the field. So I just thought once I saw him hit Profar right away, whether or not it was intentional, I got to say it felt intentional. And typically, I feel like in that circumstance, you get tossed for that. What'd you think?
I was stunned that Gore did not get tossed. I really was. And I don't know that that was intentional, but it could have been. And in a situation like that, for him to get the benefit of the doubt, I mean, I was glad that he wasn't tossed. But man, that was a gift from the baseball gods that Gore was not tossed, although he ended up not having a very good game. So maybe it was more of a benefit to the Padres. But yeah, I was very surprised by that. This whole thing, you almost have to chop it up into pieces because there are multiple layers to this. I think if you start with what happened with Profar late night, Monday night, really early Tuesday morning, him acting as if Hunter Harvey threw way inside at Profar when Harvey did not do that was ridiculous. I could not get over that Profar acted that way. Harvey, to me, was inside Profar's head, which made the walk-off double all the more surprising. And then the celebrating from Profar off the walk-off double. I have no problem with guys celebrating. I have never been anti-celebrating. I think it's good for the game. But when you celebrate toward the opposing team's dugout, that's different. That's not, to me, what you should be doing. You celebrate with your teammates. You celebrate to your teammates. You don't shove it in the face of the opposing team. So I get the Nats not being happy with Jurickson Profar. That said, for Keibert Ruiz to make it a point to have words with Profar prior to his plate appearance, late night on Tuesday night, to where benches and bullpens emptied, that was not necessary. Keibert made that a thing. It ended up becoming a scene, and it seemed to rattle MacKenzie Gore. Your job as the catcher is to take care of your starting pitcher, not put him in a predicament in which he gets thrown off his game. And we know how MacKenzie Gore is. He is a guy who's very hard on himself. He's a guy who can overthink things. So I did not think that Keibert put MacKenzie in the best of spots, even though I respect Keibert for standing up for his teammates like that. So, it's kind of one of these things where on the one hand, props to Keibert for standing up for his teammates. On the other hand, he did not put Gore in a great spot, and things got way out of hand way too early in that game. Yes, Gore needed to do a better job of controlling his emotions and being better after the benches and the bullpens emptied. I will concede that. And yeah, Gore is lucky that he was not tossed. I mean, you issue a hit by pitch after warnings are issued, and on the very first pitch, I mean, come on, and you don't get ejected regardless of intent. That really was something. So it's incredible. Bottom of the first inning, it felt like, we were like multiple hours into the game. This happened so early in the game. Normally something like this happens, it's later in a game. This was like from the get-go, you had people who were on edge with this game.
So at first I liked that Ruiz did that because I feel like a franchise catcher, if you have one, that's the kind of thing that you should do. Probably the highest profile instance of this is Brian McCann and Carlos Gomez a little over a decade ago in Atlanta against the Brewers, if you happen to recall that, kind of standing up for your team. But another thing as well, just another wrinkle to this that I read from Monday night, and I always butcher this guy's pronunciation, even though he's the best hitter in baseball. Ruiz was intentionally walked to get to Profar in the 10th inning, and Profar took issue with that, to which I say that's ridiculous. First off, 10th inning strategy is 10th inning strategy, but also Ruiz is the best contact hitter in baseball, and it's not even close. If he took exception to that, it's know who you're hitting behind. The entire first inning was so bizarre, and I'm just happy, though, with Gore that, yes, he ended up with a messy box score, but it wasn't really did it unravel until the 5th inning. I thought after the Machado homer, he was going to give up 4 or 5 runs in the first inning or two, and that at least is one consolation you could take from the Gore outing, that he didn't immediately unravel because, as you said, he can be an emotional pitcher.
No, he did not immediately unravel. That's a good point about the Luis Ruiz aspect of this, because I think that is part of why Profar was mad at the Nats. Profar has done some very good things lately, if we're being honest about it, and he felt disrespected in being the person who came after Ruiz got intentionally walked. Although, like you said, in extra innings now with the ghost runner, the strategy is going to be that way. So, to me, you can't be all sensitive about that. Yeah, so with MacKenzie Gore, though, there's what happened in that first inning, and there is the outing. And ultimately, it's 5 runs in 5 innings. You're right. I mean, he did settle down after giving up the Machado homer, although he did then issue the walk of Jay Cronenworth. But it does end up being a bad outing for MacKenzie Gore. And this now is 3 bad outings in 5 starts in this month of June. He's not having a good month of June. Gore in this game, 5 runs, 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, which were a homer, a triple, and 3 singles. He issued 3 walks and the hit by pitch. He recorded just 1 strikeout. That really stood out. We know that MacKenzie Gore averages more than a strikeout per inning for this regular season, but he in this game on Tuesday night had just 1 strikeout over 5 innings. He over the 5 innings threw 94 pitches, 58 strikes versus 36 balls. Look, MacKenzie Gore overall is having a good season, but there is an inconsistency with him that he really needs to improve upon. His best is probably the best that you see from any Nats starting pitcher right now, but he's not at his best all of the time, and he too often is like mid or less than that, So like his good is great, but his bad can be pretty bad. There is a consistency with Jake Irvin that I've really come to appreciate, because it's a consistency that I wish MacKenzie Gore demonstrated more of. I mean, you look at some of his other starts in this month of June, The Nats' 5-2 loss to the Arizona Diamondbacks at Nationals Park last Thursday afternoon, June 20th. Gore in that game, 4 runs, 5 innings. The Nats' 8-7 loss to the New York Mets at Nationals Park, June 3rd. Gore officially allowed 6 runs in 4 and a third innings. So to me, that next step for Gore to become an ace is him becoming more consistent, because there is an inconsistency with MacKenzie Gore.
Stretches like this to get me concerned that he's not really an ace and that maybe number 2 is his ceiling. The pitch inefficiency, which he has gotten better at, is still just way behind where I'd like to see. And maybe getting greedy here, because the first I ever heard of MacKenzie Gore, I was told he was a potential ace. But I got to say, I mean, it comes in flashes, but I'm just not seeing it.
Well, I think with Gore, so first of all, he's a good pitcher. Okay, so I want to establish that. What's interesting with some aces is that they're not initially aces. Like, they're okay, maybe even good. And then year 3, year 4, they make a big leap. That's what happened with Max Scherzer. He was not an ace from the get-go. He was a pretty good pitcher, and then all of a sudden he became a great pitcher, really in that final season with Detroit. And then, of course, he ascended in signing with the Nats. But I wonder if Gore might be one of those guys where first few major league seasons, you see the flashes. He's not bad, but he's not consistently great. He's pretty good, but not very good. And then something clicks in like year 3, year 4. So hopefully we are on the doorstep of that season coming from MacKenzie Gore. But yeah, I mean, at this moment in time, what you say is he's having a good season, but there is an up and down nature to the season. There's no question about that.
This episode of Nats Chat is brought to you by DC Grays Baseball. DC Grays Baseball is an all-volunteer nonprofit that brings baseball and softball to kids in under-resourced neighborhoods of DC. Inspired by the great Grays team of the Negro Leagues, who played many championship seasons in Washington with stars like Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard, the DC Grays have developed their MVP program. It gives boys and girls in underserved parts of DC the same opportunity to pursue their baseball and softball dreams as do kids from more affluent parts of the DMV. The Grays provide expert coaching, uniforms, equipment, and tournament travel free of charge. A donation of $100 will help a child in DC to participate in the Grays MVP program. The Grays also field a team in the Cal Ripken Summer Collegiate Baseball League. Their 2024 season is now underway. To donate and learn more about the Grays, go to dcgrays.com.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Jewelry can say many things on your wedding day. As a wedding band, it can say, "This is a forever symbol of our forever love." As a gift to your wedding party, it can say, "Thanks for standing up there with us." Blue Nile can help you find the piece that says it all and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com.
Here's the 2-0. Swinging a long drive, right field toward the corner. It's way back there. It's gone. It's a grand slam. He is pounding his chest as he rounds first base. A grand slam for Profar, of all people. 9-4 San Diego. Profar will eventually touch home plate.
Well, also having problems for the Nats in this 9-7 loss at the Padres late night on Tuesday night was the Nats bullpen. 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 4 runs in 3 innings. The culprits were Dylan Floro and Derek Law. Floro was charged with 3 runs without recording an out. He came into the game to begin what ended up being a 4-run 6 for the Padres. He faced 3 batters but got no outs as he gave up 3 singles. A leadoff infield single by Ha-Sung Kim on a slow roller toward third base, despite Floro having had Kim down at 1.12. a single by Kyle Higashioka to center field on a 1-2 pitch, and a first pitch bunt single by Bryce Johnson to the left side of the infield to load the bases. The bunt was intended to be a sacrifice bunt, but Floro was not quick enough in fielding and throwing the ball. Then we had Derek Law. He officially allowed 1 run in 2/3 of an inning. He and the Padres 4-run 6 faced 3 batters and got 2 outs, but the one batter who Law faced but did not retire was Jurickson Profar, and the result was a grand slam. Law, to the second batter he faced, gave up a 1-out grand slam by Jurickson Profar on a line drive to right field for a 9-4 Padres lead. The homer had a projected distance of just 353 feet per Statcast. It's not like the pitch got blasted by Profar, but was a home run, was a grand slam. Jordan Weems did toss 1 1/3 perfect innings. We did get another good outing from Tanner Rainey, a resurgent Tanner Rainey, perfect bottom of the 8th. He now has 8 scoreless innings over his last 7 appearances, so that is good. It was funny, the 2 Nats relievers at the bottom of the totem pole, Weems and Rainey, each did good, but we saw Floro and Law have some big-time issues in this game.
Yeah, Davies sort of waved the white flag by bringing in Weems and Rainey, but they did a good job and kept the Nats in it, which allowed the 9th inning to get a little exciting there for a second. To Floro and Law, obviously Floro did not have a good evening and Law gave up the home run. Right now, as we get to this stage where the All-Star break is still a few weeks away, and after Thursday, don't have any scheduled off days until the All-Star break, just keeping my eye on those middle relievers, because it seems like Floro and Law, at least one of them, of course, pitches every single day for these last 3 months. And so anytime where I see a bad outing, I just hold my breath like, oh no, is this coming here? Because there isn't a lot of rest coming up for the Nationals and the bullpen, I would imagine.
And, with Floro, you see the flaw in him. He's done some really good things this season, but he's not a strikeout guy. He's a pitch-to-contact guy, and when you do that, you can fall victim to the variance of the batted ball, and we saw that in his outing in this game. I mean, it's not like he got hammered, but he gives up 3 singles, one of which was a bunt single, and he ends up not retiring any of the batters he faces. And be honest, how many of you listening, if you stayed up to watch this game, you hear Padres grand slam, and you think Daniel Camarena? How many people listening think about that? Daniel Camarena, the immortal Padres reliever, who in July 2021 hit a grand slam off Max Scherzer in one of his final outings with the Nats. I still can't believe that happened, but unfortunately, that did. Well, the good news for the Nats in this 9-7 loss at the Padres late night on Tuesday night, the offense was good for a second consecutive game. The Nats are hitting in this series. The Nats in this game 2 of the series, 7 runs, 9 hits, which were a home run, a triple, 2 doubles, and 5 singles, 2 walks, 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The Nats scored 4 runs in the top of the 3rd, 2 runs in the top of the 8th, and a run in the top of the 9th. Jesse Winker, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 3 batter, went 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer. Winker in the Nats, a 4-run third, a 2-out 2-run homer to right field for a 4-2 Nats lead. Lane Thomas, he is the Nats starting right fielder and number 2 batter, 1 for 5 with an RBI triple. Thomas in that Nats 4-run third, a 2-out opposite field RBI triple to the right field corner to tie the game at 2. A very interesting game, I thought, for CJ Abrams. So Abrams, of course, like MacKenzie Gore, acquired from the Padres via the Juan Soto trade. Abrams in this game, Nats starting shortstop, number 1 batter, got on base 5 times. He went 3 for 3 with an RBI single, 2 other singles, and 2 walks. But he also made 2 hideous outs on the base pass, as we were back to seeing the Nats make multiple painful outs on the base pass. Abrams in the top of the 1st, a leadoff first pitch single into right field, but he then got picked off at first base for the 2nd out. Abrams in the Nats 4-run third, a 1-out single to right field on an 0-2 pitch, but he then, while headed back to first base off rounding the bag, off hitting the single, got back-picked at first base for the 2nd out in a terrible out. The Padres caught Abrams casually walking back to first base. That was totally inexcusable. That is not something that you see often at all, and yet we saw that in this game. So Abrams, twice over the first 3 innings, makes it a bad out on the base pass. But Abrams in the top of the fifth, a 2-out walk. Abrams in the Nats 2-run eighth, a leadoff walk. And Abrams in the Nats 1-run ninth, a 2-out opposite field RBI single to left center field on a 1-2 pitch to cut the Nats deficit to 9-7. So hard to be that mad at Abrams given that he got on base 5 times. I just hate seeing these continued outs on the base pass like that.
No, actually, I think it's pretty easy to be mad at Abrams. Getting picked off twice like that, it's ridiculous. I know it's every single day that we beat this dead horse and complaining about how many outs they make on the bases, and you're sick of it, and the emails keep coming in every single day on that topic. But my gosh, come on, CJ Abrams. You are basically a franchise leadoff hitter. Act like it and stop making so many dumb outs on the bases in what is an actual crucial series. I'm getting so tired of this.
Well, and the other thing is this. So I think a lot of guys, after what Abrams did in the third inning, getting backpicked like that, would be benched. Because he's Abrams, because this team is not good offensively, because he's the best hitter on the team, Abrams does not get benched. But, that's a prime opportunity to send a message of, this is inexcusable, this is unacceptable. And, I know Davey Martinez says, well, I'll talk to him about that. And presumably, Davey has talked to Abrams about that. But, this base running stuff has never been a good reflection on Davey Martinez. He's a guy who preaches the little things all the time. And I wonder sometimes if him constantly harping on the little things is if you're doing a psychoanalysis, is that like projection, to where he so wants them to be better at the little things, but they're not. They're actually bad at the little things. The base running stuff, that falls under the purview of little things. And this team has had issues on the base pass for years now. And the issues have not gotten better. And, yes, it's on the players, but it's also on the manager. At some point, your message has got to get through to these guys that this stuff isn't acceptable, and yet it does keep happening. So look, CJ Abrams overall is having a good season. It's up to being number 21 among all qualified players in the majors at OPS at 842. He's number 1 among all Nats position players for this regular season. It wins above replacement for Baseball Reference. So he is far more a positive than a negative, but 2 base running blunders like that over the first 3 innings in game 2 of, like Tim said, a crucial series. Not good. Can't have that. You want to bust out of the rebuild. That stuff has got to stop. Another bright spot for the offense in this game on Tuesday night, Harold Ramirez. He got his first major league hit for the Nats, came off the bench to serve as the Nats designated hitter, went 1 for 2 with an RBI double. Ramirez in the Nats, a 2-run eighth, a 2-out RBI double down the left field line to cut the Nats deficit to 9-6. It was on Monday afternoon that the Nats announced that they had selected the contract of Ramirez from AAA-Rochester. It was on June 15th that they announced having agreed to terms with him on a minor league contract. He struggled with Tampa Bay this season. Thus, the Rays released him not too long ago. But Ramirez can hit. He was pretty good over the 2022 and 2023 seasons, so perhaps he can help out the Nats. Hey guys, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation, which has another great offer for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. Window Nation is extending its semi-annual sale, 50% off all window styles, plus 0% interest for 5 years, and an additional bonus if you schedule an appointment between now and the end of this month. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi sent you. Window Nation windows are the best. Add to the look, feel, and value of your home. Every Window Nation window undergoes a 50-point inspection before the window leaves the Window Nation factory. And know that Window Nation's vinyl windows can do everything that wood or composite windows can do, and at a fraction of the cost of wood and composite windows. Take advantage of this offer for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 50% off all window styles plus 0% interest for 5 years, and an additional bonus if you schedule an appointment between now and the end of this month. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead, take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
And another 0-2. Swinging a fly ball to center. Cruz is going back, still going back. He squares up, gets twisted around, and he makes the catch. Cruz stabbed it over his head after he got twisted around some, but he didn't lose his balance, and he caught it as he got to the warning track in center field. Good job by Cruz.
Also, regarding the Nats on Tuesday evening, Nats starting pitcher Josiah Gray made perhaps the final start of his minor league rehab assignment, and he did well. Gray in a 3-1 win for the Nats' AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, over the Indianapolis Indians. 1 run in 6 innings, 4 strikeouts, no walks, gave up 4 hits, which were a double and 3 singles through 73 pitches, 44 strikes versus 29 balls. We don't know with certainty what is next for Josiah Gray, but Tim, I would think him returning to the major league level is imminent, perhaps is going to be happening in the coming days. We have been talking about who will be the man who is out of the Nats rotation when Gray comes off the 15-day IL, Patrick Corbin or DJ Herz. Well, Game 3 for the Nats at the Padres Wednesday afternoon at 4:10. It is DJ Herz who is the Nats starting pitcher for that game, and he will be perhaps pitching for his spot in that Nats rotation.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Herz for that spot. Gray might make another start in AAA, so the Nats brass is going to huddle up on that, but it does seem like he's on track to be back in the rotation before the All-Star break. While we're here, I'll just give you a quick update on how Cruz and Wood did. Cruz, in this game that Gray pitched, he had a single. Wood had a pair of hits. Riley Adams also hit a homer. He has 5 homers since being sent down, by the way. But this Josiah Gray news is very exciting, Al. I had my doubts in April when the Nats talked about that he wouldn't need surgery or much more than that. 2.5 months is longer than 2 months. But if he is back in the rotation before the All-Star break, knock on wood, got to consider that a huge win.
Well, given how long it has taken for him to come back, yeah. And I've never been mad at the Nats for taking their time with Gray. It just has been hard to be without him because he was so good for this team last season. And if he can be the pitcher this season, who he was last season, you think about what that could mean for this rotation, which of course already has been such a bright spot for this team. It's exciting to think about. I mean, if the Nats do demote Corbin to the bullpen, and that is a big if, but if they do that, the fact that this early in the season, pre-All-Star break, you could have a Nats rotation with 5 young, up-and-coming, promising starting pitchers is so exciting to think about, right? Josiah Gray, MacKenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, Mitchell Parker, and DJ Herz, to say nothing of Cade Cavalli whenever he's back. But, this is what a rebuild is supposed to look like. You get to a point at which something like your rotation is filled with young and up-and-coming and promising starting pitchers. And so if the Nats are about to have that, that'd be awesome to see. So we shall see who is the man who is out of the Nats rotation. And to your point, whether Gray is in fact done with this minor league rehab assignment. That would be something if he makes another minor league start. We thought the previous start might be the last start. Then he gets this next one that happened on Tuesday evening. For him to get another one, I think people would be disappointed if this one on Tuesday evening was not the final one of the minor league rehab assignment.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that possibility existed. You think 6 innings against AAA hitting, it's time to bring him up. So we'll see what goes on there. And maybe also, who knows, I haven't done the math yet, because they're not going to have an off day for a while heading into the All-Star break, maybe Gray coming back could lead to a 6-man rotation as well. That's just one thing to keep in mind. So maybe DJ Herz isn't pitching for his spot on Wednesday. Just keep that in mind.
Could be, yeah. The Nats have the scheduled off day for Thursday, June 27th, and that is the Nats' final scheduled off day until the All-Star break. The final game for the Nats prior to the All-Star break is Sunday, July 14th. So the Nats do have another one of these rough stretches with no scheduled off days coming up. This installment of the Nats Chat podcast brought to us by the DC Grays. DC Grays Baseball, an all-volunteer nonprofit that brings baseball and softball to kids in under-resourced neighborhoods of Washington, D.C. The Grays' 2024 season is underway. To donate and learn more about the Grays, go to dcgrays.com. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast.
The 1-2. Line drive, deep right field. It's a grand slam. Are you kidding me? Nationals 8, Padres 6. It is bedlam out there in San Diego. I am speechless.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.